Soul Productions present Street Topics, and you don't want to get caught slipping. You don't know what topics they're going to serve you, from current events to politics, for topics that they don't even want to talk about. From old
You
school
know, when we run out
remedies.
of medicine, grandma have our remedies. But I'm not gonna lie. One remedy that I wish I could remember exactly what she had, but she mixed them together. And when by the time I got through with that, listen, I must have been the most drunk. I felt drunk. I know I didn't understand what drunk, but now that I look back,
Heated topics causing disagreements.
Negative because that's what all of y'all like. It's just very heavy and negative.
Well,
So
you need
we're
to go
all
get
saying
on
have
another
emotional
show. You need to get
conversations
yourself.
when we're just
You need to
bashing
get
each other.
yourself on another show. We ain't negative, woman, girl.
No matter how heated the conversation may get, these gentlemen always come back together with solutions.
Better than this. You got to learn how to respect each other differences. We're not supposed to all think alike.
Tune in every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Subscribe so you can stay connected to Soul Productions and Street Topics.
You hear that music? We're in Street Topics, where we keep it raw, unfiltered, and of course it's late hour, but we're gonna still get this good news in because that's what it's all about, keeping y'all updated on the streets and much more. It's your host, C. Holmes, bringing you the energy and much more and the topics that y'all love. But I can't do it by myself. I have my boy, the legend, the myth, the one and only Jasim. How you feeling?
What's going on, my brother from another mother, man? I'm glad we back in 2025. So now only Street Topic is going to be the hottest this year. We're gonna make it so hot that, hey, the old song, it's getting hot in here, and guess what's gonna happen? Take off your clothes.
Shit. They ain't gonna be ready for that. But you know what? You see the topic: insurance companies not covering LA fires. Wait. What? Oh, the alarm is going off. It's kind of crazy. But before we digest in this much more, let's go ahead and take a quick clip from the newscast, and we're gonna dive into the subject hand because it's popular and all that much more. But let's see what they're saying real quick.
Gotcha.
Talking about in different areas has been the lack of water for firefighters in certain areas at certain times. Basically, the fire hydrants just don't have enough water. How did that happen? What's going on with that? This morning, the head of LADWP was pressed for answers. Here's what was said.
Starting Monday, we started activating an emergency operating plan, and our emergency operating plan calls for us to fill all our tanks and reservoirs to the maximum levels. So the tanks and Palisades were maxed out, and water. We also fill our diesel tanks for our generators because we need energy in the pumps to move water. And so all of that was taking place before the emergency started. So we were ready for the emergency. What we were not ready for is fighting an urban fire with no air assets combating that. Fire department was fighting this fire from the ground through the fire hydrants, and the amount of water that was taken was just more than we can supply.
Does that answer the question of when we were over the Palisades last night late in the village then, and Rick Caruso saying that there's no water left? Is that the answer to that issue as well?
That's what she's talking about there, yeah.
Specifically.
Basically, that the tank was as full as it could get, and then we ran out of water, and then there was nothing else. The system was overwhelmed, and they didn't have the helicopters, which would help with a different water source, which would have come from the ocean. But still.
So we're going to start off with a course of catastrophic damage, and then on top of that, I just want to include this as well of like how they're running out of water. So a lot of people, celebrity and regular people, people in general. Everybody bleeds red, and I'm polite that. So this fire does not care who you are, but it is affecting people's lives. So I want to start off with that to show how dangerous it is. But with that said, now let's really hit on the topic and how Insurance company's not covering for LA fires. So you see how bad it is to run out of water. And let me showcase this video next. Let me get this going. Hold on, let's see. Give me a quick second. Stop this. Give me a second. I'm going to have it pulled up. As I work on getting that pulled up, what are you thinking so far? Oh, here we go. Wait, here we go. I got you.
Despite living in at-risk areas for wildfires, thousands of Los Angeles homeowners do not have home insurance. This disparity, highlighted by the current fires, is because several private insurers in California have either raised prices or have removed their coverage completely. For example, a spokesperson from the California Department of Insurance told CBS Money Watch that State Farm dropped around 1,600 policies in Pacific Palisades last July. That town now obliterated. State Farm telling CBS News, quote, "Our number one priority right now is the safety of our customers, agents, and employees impacted by the fires and assisting our customers in the midst of this tragedy." Catherine Boudreau joins me now for more. She's a senior sustainability reporter for Business Insider. Catherine, thank you for joining us on this crucial topic. Help us understand what led some insurers, private insurers, to increase their rates or remove coverage from high-risk areas altogether.
Thank you so much for having me. So, the surging costs from more frequent and intense disasters, coupled with the rising costs of repairing homes and the cost of inflation, has prompted a lot of private insurers to, like you said, hike rates on homeowners in states across the country, particularly in California, or drop them altogether. They say that the insurance market in California has become unsustainable, and that's why some homeowners are, are getting dropped, or in some cases might be forgoing insurance altogether.
Some are describing this as a home insurance crisis, not just in California, but in Texas, which deals with intense ice storms, in the Carolinas, which were recently flooded. Folks in Congress have attempted passing legislation that would address this, but yet it persists. What is the most popular solution, and how long could it take before there is relief for homeowners?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, I think California in particular, they do have an insurer of last resort. This is what's known as a FAIR plan. At least a dozen states have them across the country. In California, it's regulated by the state, but it's backed by private insurance companies. And unfortunately, these FAIR plans, while they are a last resort and a good option, they are more expensive and tend to cover less damage. So you want to have more homeowners in the private market. And unfortunately, as companies like you mentioned, State Farm, Allstate, are dropping homeowners, they're increasingly turning to these FAIR plan policies. And then, maybe they'll search for alternatives on the private market, but they're becoming increasingly hard to afford and find.
And you may have touched on this, Catherine, but in our last few seconds, if someone watching is a homeowner in an at-risk location and their insurance is lifted, what should they do?
When you say their insurance has been dropped, hopefully that if they haven't been able to find insurance, but in between the time that they've been dropped and this devastating wildfire, there is, I'm sure, FEMA assistance that's going to be available from the federal government. Unfortunately, that's not going to cover all insured losses, but that is designed to be a backstop as well.
Becoming a more common issue. We really appreciate your guidance on this difficult topic, Catherine Boudreau. Thanks for your time.
Woo. As we know, very controversy topic. So
I don't think it's controversial. I think people make it controversial. Listening to both the clips really is there's several things that I notated, right?
Okay.
And we talking about California, and people don't know I don't like California.
My bad. I'm not trying to laugh, but let me go ahead and ring the bell because you better go.
I don't like California. Never like California people. They can stay in California and do what they do or what have you. And don't bring your ass to Texas because you already fucking our shit up. First of all, But I digress. So the problem that I see with California is one, they are a state of liberals. They have their head in the cloud. They think and feel like they're better than everyone else. They think and feel like they're smarter than everyone else, especially if you from the South. But at the same time, you lose the understanding that what is the first rule of survival? First rule is self-preservation. They don't understand that because they think they just all this and that, right?
Uh-oh.
2, charity begins where? At home before it spreads abroad. My point is this. All the money that California was getting and has been getting, why are they spending that type of money on illegals, giving them free stuff, doing all of this housing and everything for free for them, but they're not taking care of the citizens in California. They're not using and reallocating those funds to come up with a better system for these wildfires. How long have these wildfires have been occurring in California? So that shows me the lack of knowledge, the lack of care, the lack of managing their finances properly. And that's the reason why you all are trying to move to other states, especially in the South, and then try to screw our state up because your shit is The other thing that I've documented and take, I do not blame the homeowners insurance to drop. Because think about it. When you buy a home, what is the first thing that you're supposed to do? And it goes back.
You better get some insurance. You better. Because
no, that is not the first thing you do. The first thing you do, a smart person that's from the South does, not from the West Coast, not from California. What we do that's smart is do the research of the area.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, yeah.
If there's fires,
that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
And do you really want to live in that area where you're going to constantly have the same issues and problems, regardless of how cheap the house is, or the deal you got the house, or how nice you like the house, or how you love the house? Do you logically want to?
So basically, what you're telling me is you putting accountability on them. If they would have the research, they would have known the dangers of that area, despite how good a looking that house
because
looked.
Everything has a pattern when it comes to life, people, situation. If you pay attention to the pattern by doing the research, you will eventually see, okay, this is not good. This is not good. They do patterns anyway in real estate to know if, when the market is going to go up on real estate.
That's business. It makes sense.
In certain areas. So why aren't you not doing that before you purchase the home? That also shows me they are not too bright. They're empty head. Excuse me. Because a logical person would be able to do such a thing prior to and make a sound, accountable decision. What's going on? The house is being burned down is their fault. They are accountable for the decisions they made to live in that particular area, knowing the chances of a wildfire, knowing the chances of you have some ignorant Californians that's setting fires off and on, not all the time on, not all the time off. That's why I said off and on.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that it's going to hit you. So now you have that. Now you also have the fact that the money you're wasting on illegals that could have been allocated to prevent and protect the people in that particular area that the governor has failed to do.
I think I read also somewhere that the funding for the firefighter department much more is not where it needs to be. I think they're like either lacking funds or something. I forgot. You probably know a little bit more on this, where they had to let something take a hit.
That's just my take. That's the way I'm looking at this. Now, the other part, I'm looking at it, if they were extremely as smart as what they try to make all the other states and everybody else might think that they are, which they dumb as shit.
Holy shit. God damn.
Why don't you take in California, in the northern part of California, take when it snows, why can't you make towers in key areas that's a hot spot for fires? Put water towers where you take the snow, put it in the towers, and so that way you have the water you need to fight the fires by however way you might need it. And why can't you take whenever it rains, the rainwater, and contain it and use that on top of whatever water you getting from the ocean? But don't touch the drinking water. We already have a problem that our drinking water is in the future. We won't have no good drinking water. We have to go and somehow try to filter seawater, and that's already going to be hard to do. So if we already having a problem with this and another problem in the future, why not do something that's smart in this manner? And it just shows that the governor and the people of California has no logic, no common sense. Do they have talent in music? Yes, I give them that. But other than that, no. This and the reason why I feel I agree with the homeowners insurance is simple. Why would you keep paying out money and you chose to live in that location where there's an possibility of a fire, and then you cause my business, my company, to go bankrupt?
Well,
that calculation does not compute with me. The dog don't bark like that in my eyes. And the way I hear it, it does not bark that way. That ain't no dog. That's something else.
Something else.
Bankrupt. And they raising the prices because every time you turn around, there's a fire, and then the homes
because they know it's going to happen.
And so they keep dishing out money. That's just like any finance 101. If you keep spending money and you don't have enough money coming in, how are you going to sustain having money? That's logic. That's common sense to anything and everything. But if you choose to live in that area, you also choose the consequences of what's going to end up happening if you didn't do the research, and you should have done the research prior if you were actually as smart as you think you are.
Ooh, you said a mouthful. And usually, I'm not going to lie, I try to be neutral. But I'm not going to lie, my opinion going on, I was like, man, sue the insurance companies and all much more, and they were wrong. But the more that I heard, listened to it, knowing my background, even listening to one of my colleagues, I was like, people are not going to like this, but I actually agree with a lot of this. I mean, honestly, a lot, much more, because if you've done the research and much more, well, let me say, am I hurting that I'm hurt that this is happening here? Of course. I mean, nobody wants to see people's homes being burnt like that. People running for their lives, having to abandon the cars, trying to escape much more. Nobody wants to see that. But being real, because people don't like hearing the truth. It's their fault. Like, that that's like me going to Oklahoma and knowing that I'm in Tornado Alley, but I want to build this home in Tornado Alley, but then I'm going to get upset because the price for coverage is extremely high. It's extremely high because they know you're in an area that has very damaging environment of tornadoes. They know the likeliness of them having to dish out a claim because their covering is going to be very high. It's very risky for an insurance company.
So let me ask you this question. Based on this topic, isn't it just like having auto insurance, similar, where if you're in a certain area, your insurance is high, the premium is higher in certain areas than in others?
Hell yeah, because I ain't gonna lie.
And
Look,
why is that?
it's a risk. I mean, and then that's why I said I had to go back to my background. It just makes logic sense. It makes business sense. Anything that's more risky, I'm gonna charge you more because you put me at more risk of having to pay out these claims. Like even from a personal side, like the minute that they knew that I was driving in the big city of Houston, they were like, "Oh, well, we have to increase your premiums." Why? Because look, and let's be honest, more than half the motherfuckers out here don't know how to drive.
And they
There's
not
accidents
and they not
every
from Texas.
day.
And they residents. They residents of Texas. So if you come here from another state, that's my input on this. You come here from another state and you try to say you're a Texan, that's bullshit. I'm calling you a Texan. That's bullshit. You are a resident. A
Yeah,
Texan
damn,
is
say how it
born
is.
and raised here. You a Texan. That's just like you leave from the United States and you go to Germany and you say you German.
I'm a German.
That shit don't make sense. Okay, so I
Hell no.
digress again.
You just had to keep it real as is. Look, I know a lot of people, especially in 2025, want to have sympathy. Yes, we do have sympathy, but logically, you're in an area that is known for house being burned. Insurance companies logically have to increase their premiums, or I mean, just someone just opt out because they're like, why would I put coverage for a place that I know that is going to, like, how are you going to have a business continue if you're not bringing in funds? And a lot of people try to give insurance companies bad rep and much more. And I'm not gonna lie, I was in the emotional side in the beginning, but the more I thought about that doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense.
And that's the
But
problem.
I corrected myself because I had to let my business size come in. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And or going further, you get mad at these premiums being increased, but you want coverage. Where's the money coming from? It's not just gonna come out of thin air.
It's not. And if they understood how money works and how it actually works, and not go off of what Sheila or Ray or Raymond or Mark just talking and saying, and they don't know if they ass from a hole in the ground. They don't know that. Why would you listen to somebody like that? And you still don't know how money works, so you still can't make a logical plan without putting the emotion involved, because the emotion is what causes problems in everyone's life. Is the emotion, not the logic. It's the emotion.
Sheesh. So, like I said, we keeping it short and simple, but like accountability. Like you knew the risk of being in certain areas. Um, Even if it looked nice, we know California houses, you got the beach and all that much more, and it looks nice, but it is what it is. And it doesn't make business sense for an insurance company, and especially if it's still providing coverage, to not increase their prices.
Yeah, it's not
Because
any
they got to.
it's not any different if someone buys a house in California, and it's people that's like that, and they buy on the what do you call it, the Fort line, where the earthquake is. So you
Look,
already
I'm
know.
not giving you no coverage at all. I'm like, you put your house here.
I mean, you already know where it is. Somebody has probably had mentioned it and you ignored it because you was in your feelings and your emotions,
Feelings.
and you wanted to go buy this house because you just liked it. Even that is still your responsibility. You are accountable based on the decision that you make. There's no one else that's accountable for that but you.
You chose that.
You chose that. Nobody forced you anything. No one can force anyone to do anything. Even if you have a gun to someone's head or a knife, you have a choice to whether to do it or not do it, and just deal with whatever consequences that may be, whether if it's a good or it's bad
Or
consequence.
bad.
It's still a consequence, but either way it goes, you still have a choice. And so for them to be upset about the insurance, I don't like my premiums to go up, but
You want
I
coverage though.
but I understand the reason for it. I may not like it for emotional reason, but logically I can understand, because if my ass get in a situation where my house is tore up really bad, at least I know I have a deductible, and the chunk of that from the insurance they cover in this house.
Yeah, I'd rather pay my deductible than get stuck with like a 40 or 30 or whatever $1,000 bill. Hell no.
And I don't mind paying what I owe per month or in escrow for my insurance. I don't mind that because that is understanding logic, what's going on. Now, don't get me wrong, even though I don't agree with the idea of paying property tax, I understand it because once the house, whenever your property is paid for, why are you still paying property tax?
That part.
See, that's something I don't agree with because technically, the house you have, you really don't own it. The banks own it, all the investors own it.
Ooh.
They really don't own it because when have they ever shown you and proved that money was exchanged for you to buy that house?
Ooh. Dropping gems like that. So, as closing, you have anything else to say?
Stay in California. Don't bring your ass to Texas.
Yeah.
Don't bring that thinking and that crazy way of liberal way of thinking and acting. Don't bring that.
You ain't playing no. You ain't playing no
and
goddamn.
thinking that you superior, you think you better, just because you can get you a little sports car and drive fast up and down I-45 and I-35 and all that. Just because you get it, don't mean that you better. It just means you have a little bit more material things, but you don't have anything up here in the head between your two shoulders.
God damn. And he's not taking none of that back. He meant what he said.
I
With that said, man, where can they find you?
Oh, you can always find me every Friday here on the YouTube channel In the Trenches Podcast, but also too, and check out the website In the Trenches Podcast. Hey, we got some hot merchandise. And I want you to like, subscribe, make a comment, just like what you do here on Street Topics. And make sure on Street Topics, you like, you share, you comment, you like, you share, you comment, you like, you share, you comment. Hey, because this is a topic on both shows that we say what needs to be said, not what people want to be said. That's not telling you the truth and not being real.
That's how it is. It's your host, C. Holmes, as always, bringing you street topics, and we hit on topics everybody afraid of, but we are not. But like you said, like, share, subscribe, and much more, because this is what keep things going. Because we're gonna say what the hell y'all been wanting to say, and not giving a damn, because we ain't keeping it, holding back and keeping no filter. But with that said, take accountability for your fucking actions. Live with it. Catch y'all next time. And stay tuned.